Hi everybody, my name is Cynthia and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a pet bed out of some t-shirts. All you need is 4 t-shirts to do this project and a bit of stuffing and a cat or dog to try it out. Here is my fluffy friend Bulmers. She's my baby. I have her for the last 8 years and she loves these beds. So if you want to know how to make them, just stay tuned. Say bye, Bul. I'm going to start by laying one of my t-shirts flat on my table, and I'm going to use the jacket of a vinyl disc as my template. The bigger the square I'm going to trace, and the bigger my bed's going to be. So that I like this size, so I'm just going to trace around these, and I'm going to do that on the 4 t-shirts. So once your square is all drawn off, you can actually cut it out. Make sure you cut through the 2 layers of the t-shirt since we are going to use them both. I have a bit of t-shirt left over, so I'm going to keep it for future tutorials. I'm sure I'm going to come up with something, but if you have any ideas that you'd like me to try out, leave me a comment down below. So now you should find yourself with 4 pairs of squares, and each t-shirt will give you a top and a bottom. Next step, you're going to organize your t-shirt in which order you'd like them to be on the bed. So here's how I like them to be organized. I'm going to give a shape to my bed and I'm going to round all the corners, but you could keep it as a square if you wanted to. So I'm going to stack all my squares on top of each other. That way I'm going to cut them all in one go. That way they will all have the same size. That's why you need to know in which order you want your t-shirt to be in the finished product. It will eliminate any guesswork and any nasty surprise on having things upside down or on their side, except if that's what you want, really, so each to their own. All I need to do now is to face each square in the right direction, so all the rounded edges are in the same side. Now I'm going to take a marking tool and just draw a curve on the corner where I want it to be cut, just to help me out when I'm going to cut it later on. It doesn't have to be perfect, really. Next you can cut your t-shirts following that line, and it's going to be quite bulky, so just take your time, and it would actually really help if you have good quality shears. Now you can separate each top from its bottom, because we are going to start making up the bed now. So we are going to make the top and the back separately. So you're going to take first the top right and top left quarters, and you're going to put them right side together. Make sure the middle edge are together. That's the one that we are going to connect first. You're going to set your machine with a very small zigzag stitch, and I'm just using a 1/4 inch seam allowance for this one. And stretch your fabric as you sew. It's a lot easier to sew stretchy fabric that way. You're going to repeat the same steps with the bottom quarters of the top of your bed. Now we are going to connect the 2 halves together, so just put them right sides together, and we are going to sew alongside the long edge with a zigzag stitch. Make sure that you match up the seams in the middle. If it's slightly off balance, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. I'm sure your cat or your dog won't hold it against you. Now you're going to make up the back of your bed the same way as you made up the front. Next we are going to put the top and the back on top of each other, and we're going to put them right sides together. We are going to make up our bed now. Again, make sure that you match all the seams, and don't be afraid to pin your work quite well, since the edges will have a tendency on curling up. We're going to sew all around the bed, but make sure that you're leaving a gap so we can turn our work outside out. And that's how it looks like when it's done. And all you need to do is reach in the inside and then pull the outside through the opening. Now what you need to do is to stuff your bed. So you stuff it to your liking, as much or as little as you want. It will depend how fluffy you want your bed to be. I like mine to be quite fluffy because Bull likes to be quite curled up in fluffiness, so I'm going to make it quite full. Once you're happy on how full it is, all we need to do is close up the opening. You can do it with the machine or by hand. Do it by hand, just thread your needle with your thread and make up a double knot at the end of it. Then you're just going to pull your opening until the seam allowance is going inward. You're going to insert your needle on one end of the opening within the seam allowance and you're going to pull it through. Then you're going to make a stitch catching the seam allowance on the other side going the same direction. Make sure your seam allowance is well folded inside of your cushion so no raw edges will show, and if that helps, just pin it in place. Now all you need to do is alternate your stitching from one side to the other, always going into the seam allowance and always in the same direction, until you have the opening closed. Once it's all finished, all you need to do is make a knot and you're all done. Alright guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I'll see you next week. As usual, you can leave me your comments down below and I'm going to leave all the links to my social media in the description box below as well. So until next time, bye bye!